That's not necessary. Did you have any introductions or anything that you wanted to?
I can introduce myself. I'm Julia McCurry. I'm president-elect, so I will have big shoes to fill when Jerry moves on from president to past president. And Mesha is already on the line. Mesha Ward will also be presenting with me later tonight.
Julia is being too humble. She has actually managed both our student forum that we had at the end of the year last year, as well as arranged this. And I know about big shoes to fill, but hopefully we'll have made some big changes by the time it's all said and done. So I appreciate that. So starting off tonight, we've kind of got this divided, it looks like, in 3 sections. We're going to have a section that I'm going to talk to you guys about mentoring and mentorship. And we'll have another section about volunteerism. And then we're going to have some actual students who graduated from the program to talk about how they got into the field. So we do still have people adding in. We are recording this. So if you miss information or you want to go back and look at it in about our YouTube site, so if you go out to YouTube, you can search for Northeast FAHIMA and you'll be able to find that out as well. So again, welcome, and let's go ahead and get started. Let me share. So I am Julie Newman. I am the regional president here for Northeast Florida Health Information Management Association, but I'm also involved in the Membership Retention and Student Engagement Committee for Florida HEMA, for Florida Health Information Management Association. And I have been for several years, and have been this name for membership retention and student engagement is a mouthful. And really, if you break it down into letters, it's MRSA, so I don't even want to say that. But the fact of the matter is this was previously known as something called Bridging the Gap. And Bridging the Gap was an actual movement, if you will. There was actually a proclamation made by AHIMA that put into place the idea of a need to really establish a mentoring program throughout the nation to help literally bridge the gap between students coming out of the program and getting into the field. So Bridging the Gap was built on that premise, and we go from there, and it's something that I have been involved with for a while. So giving you a little bit of history on me here, I did graduate from the HIM program in Santa Fe College. I also got a bachelor's degree there in Healthcare Services Administration, and I'm a student right now. I'm actually a current student at the College of St. Scholastica in Healthcare Informatics. So I've been kind of growing with this and keeping my mentoring going. Along the way, my volunteer activities have included working with HIFA, which is the Health Information Students Association at Santa Fe College. I was in officer positions there. And then I kind of relaxed this because really honestly, when I got started in HIFA, I started with Northeast as well. I became a member and I started asking how I could get involved. And that led to then volunteering on state level. I've been a member of several different committees, advocacy, fire. I have participated with HIM awareness, and I've been on Bridging the Gap, which is now known as under the new name. And I even participated on a national level with the AHIMA Foundation Research Network and with an actual job analysis task force. So from a volunteer level, I've seen a lot of different areas of why and how mentoring works, and that's really why I have a passion for it. Not everybody becomes an AHIMA member, but that's kind of the area we fall under. They're really the forefront leaders, 52 component state associations. Of course, that puts us under Florida as one of those associations. And we're here as well with representing that. And then breaking down further, there's 8 regions within Florida that divide up to 67 counties. And so this presentation is being put on by Northeast, which represents 13 counties across the Northeast swath of Florida, basically Gainesville to Jacksonville and kind of everywhere in between in there. Each of you have your own regions that you're coming from, so that may be Central that you're representing, or coming from South or Northwest or whatever. So I bring this information to your forefront because really this is where it's going to come down to. As a recommendation, not just with getting involved with mentoring, looking forward as we speak about it, but as a student, get involved. It is an important time, and you really kind of follow through that. And I'm not going to pound the volunteering because you're going to have a whole presentation on that, but it is important. And some of these things, if you get involved with them now, they can actually make it easier for you later on in finding mentors and finding jobs. So definitely get involved. Membership retention and student engagement it's really exactly what it is. It's all about bringing services to you guys as a student, help you and expand on getting you fast-tracked into a good career field. We have a new member orientation program. We're revamping the student toolkit. We're even doing student spotlights now. And membership program, PPE site expansion. I actually have had people who are having problems finding PPE sites who get in touch with me, and we work with that region's leadership and schools to try to find if you're having trouble. So it is something that is available. We coordinate with the programming committee to help assist with the new member and student track, making recommendations and doing services for our mentors and mentees, and then bringing various educational and volunteerism. So my topic is mentorship. So that's really what I want to focus on, is going to be the mentorship program and mentoring in general. Now, mentorship opportunities, really, they come across the spectrum. On the national level, AHIMA, to honor their proclamation, they've created their Mentor Match program, and it's really a wide open doors program. You go out there, you sign up, you say what your state is, but it really comes down to you. Mentors are out there. You have to put the legwork into finding them, but you may be able to find somebody out of the state, which is a nice match because, well, you can never really have too many mentors. So it's good to look at that level. We do that too here on the state level, though, as well. I go out looking for mentors and people and trying to bring people into the program to mentor our people. I actually go out there to AHIMA site, and I make contact with all of the mentors that are out there that are listed to try to bring them into the program. The AHIMA program has recently changed. We used to do a January to December match period, and now we're doing a October to September match period. It aligns a little bit better with the school year, gets you started a little bit early. And it's intended for second year or fourth year students, depending on whether you're going for your AS or your BS degree. We do open it up to recent graduates because of when the match is. So if you graduated in April, you can still sign up for it if you didn't before. That's not a problem. The key to this is that the mentors, your matches, are driven from the region. And this is an important factor because while we're bringing them in, we need you to be able to actually make contact with your mentors, to have some face-to-face time. It doesn't always work, but we try to get you matched up with somebody in your local area. Not just somebody in your local area, but somebody who's going to understand you. So I really bring it down to that level because we get credit, regionals get credit for having mentors, but it's really a great way to keep professionals who have a lot of information to offer rotating back around. And as you see those areas grow and you see people evolve, it's really interesting to watch the people come through. So what is mentoring? Well, this image really sums it up in the best way I can. And this mentoring is a brain to pick and you're to listen and a push in the right direction. That's John Crosby said that, and it really is. It's a helping hand, somebody who can help get you over that cliff. A mentor is going to do all kinds of different things for you. They're going to coach you, they're going to train you, help give you some direction, provide support, be a counselor, give advice, and give motivation. But it is a time consume for both the student and for the mentor. So really, from a student level, most people are saying, well, gosh, that's more time. I've got classes, I'm working, I've got family. Why would I want to get matched up with a mentor? Really, what's in it for me? And all I can say is every one of these items that's listed on this page, I'm going to tell you is dead honest and true. When you find a mentor, when you find somebody who's out there and you spend the time with them, you're going to learn so much from somebody who's already working in the field. They have such good information, practical working knowledge of rules and standards and regulations. They understand roles, various positions within the companies. They understand the companies, who's hiring, you know, who's easier to get into, where to go, different information like that. They can help you identify your skill sets. You're coming out of school with so many different things in your head. You know, am I going in coding? Am I going to do compliance? Do I like software? Do I like quality? Do I want to get into revenue cycle? Which direction am I going to go? A mentor can help to hone in your skills, develop your knowledge, develop your skills, improve your communication skills, develop your leadership skills, give you advice that's going to help make you a stronger candidate and a stronger HIM professional moving forward. They're a personal sounding board. They absolutely are. They're a counselor. When you're frustrated, when you applied for a position and they asked you a question that threw you off, you can go back and talk to them about it. When you're having a problem in a job and you're not sure the best way to handle it, they become a lifelong friend. When you work with your mentor well, they become a lifelong friend. One of my better friends right now was my mentor, who was also a teacher of mine. She actually ended up becoming a boss of mine at a point in time. This person has, I don't want to say led me. She has given me a lot of traits to follow, and she has pushed me my entire way to do more, to be more, and to go further than I ever have before. And that's a true friend. They're behind you no matter what. And that's what these mentors become, these people that you establish the relationships with. And you start off with one, but you end up with many. And as I said, they're going to help you advance your career. They're interested in you. They want to give you their advice. They want to help you be a better you, so they can help with setting goals, building a network of people, with making your resume eye-catching, with giving you interviewing skills. They're going to even help you evaluate an offer or a job position to see if it's something that you actually, are you really interested in, and where can we tweak it, what would be better. So they're all in one, this gigantic mother, counselor, teacher, professional, everybody, they're in one, or father if it's a male, because we do have male mentors. But that's what's in it for you as a student, to get involved. Find a mentor, find somebody that can help carry you through, because they can get you a lot faster. And in order to get the most out of your membership, or your mentorship, excuse me, you have to be actively involved. You're busy, they're busy. Communication is key. Don't wait for somebody to decide to get in contact with you, or, wait 3-4 months before you pop up a question. Stay in constant communication with them and throw questions around. On a mentorship program level, we actually provide quarterly topics and conversation starters, which could be anywhere from talking about the importance of certifications to where do I go from here, what are interviewing tips. They can really give you a lot of information. Ask questions. they're not, the mentor is not really necessarily there to help you finish your school, to do your homework and do your assignments for you. How do I code this or how do I do that? But if you're truly having problems understanding a concept or a guideline, or well, how does IT really work, or how does deficiency status really impact A, B, and C in the field, kind of just throwing some things out there. You have an experienced professional who can guide you through those questions so that you better understand them before you get into your workplace, which makes you a more valuable employee because you're clearer starting off. Listen to the information that they give you. It's going to be from advice from personal experiences, from professional experiences, from being involved in advocacy, from seeing the changes in the rules and regulations and just seeing the trends in the industry. But they are just advice. In the end, the decisions are yours, but they're there. If you listen to them, you're going to be guided on a stronger path. And I think one of the biggest things here with this is to continue learning. Once you get out of school with that piece of paper, it doesn't stop. You still have things that you can learn. You still have upgrades that you can do to yourself to be a stronger employee. And the nature of our field is it's changing all the time. And as such, we have to change all the time. We have to grow. So be open-minded when somebody says that this may not be a strength and maybe you need to work on this more, or when it comes time to learn new things. I actually, Santa Fe College, I believe it was on last week or the week before, had a presentation from UF Health Chans. The CDI supervisor from over there talked about the field, talked about what was working, and she had 3 students who came on who are actually employees there. And they said that one of the biggest things that they had troubles with is realizing that they didn't know it all, and they had to keep learning, and that keeping and embracing that actually makes this a lot easier, because you're going to continue you're going to have continuing education units you're going to have to get. You want to stay fresh. So, and like I said before, when you're developing a friendship and a relationship with this mentor, you got to get to know each other, because your similar interests, your backgrounds, your skills, we try to do everything that we can to match it. So if you sign up with CAHIIM to be a mentor or to be a mentee, we're going to try to match you to somebody who has similar interests. So be honest with us about what you are and what you aren't interested in, so that we can get you matched, because you never know what you're going to find out there, and especially if you do have an interest area.
I know.
So a couple of things I'd like to share with you as thoughts before I take questions. This is a great quote that came from Get Smarter. 80% of CEOs polled said they have had mentors, allowing them access to insider knowledge and power, fast-tracking their careers. I think maybe sometimes we hear it as it's not what you know, it's who you know. And I don't know that I necessarily agree with that statement 100%, but who you know can definitely bolster what you know. And when you know the right information and you know the right people who are in your quarter and supporting you, they absolutely are going to push you a lot faster and further than ever before.
I know her.
True Value Company, store operations. My mentor genuinely had my best interests and my goals for growth at heart. As a result, that mentorship changed my career path. As I said, they can help you refine your skills. They can help you find your skill sets and your interests. They can help you find the path that's going to make your job and make you the happiest.
I'm just wearing one of them to work. You think that'll be okay?
And my last item here is a truly great mentor. It's hard to find, difficult to part with, and impossible to forget. And really great mentor, and you have a truly great relationship. They don't really ever stop being your mentor.
To your what?
My mentor.
Okay. So, do you guys have any questions? Oh, wait, before we go to questions, I did want to share with you one thing, and hopefully you can see it here on my webpage. So CAHIIM's mentorship program does take signups throughout the year. If you go out to the CAHIIM site and you come over here under members and come down to students, there's all these links that are here: scholarships, exam reimbursement, and the mentorship program. So you can learn more about it, and you can sign up right here. We take sign-ups literally from February through the beginning of October. I am sorry if I yelled at everybody's ears, but I have 4 dogs and they're not happy right now. Okay, so on that note, does anybody have any questions about mentoring or being a mentee, about mentors in general? I'm looking in the chat. I don't see anything coming up. And no questions? Okay. Can everybody still hear me?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So if we don't have any questions, then I'm going to go ahead and turn this over to Kelly Cooper, who is going to present on.
Hi there. Good. How are you?
And let me see. There we go. We're going to change the presenter to Kelly. And you've got your stuff to pull up.
There you go. Have a good night. Sorry about that. Just 1 second here. Okay, I do have my stuff ready to pull up. Give me 2 seconds. As always, the last minute work call. Now the question is, can everyone hear me?
I can. Yes. Yes, I can.
Good. Yeah. All righty. Okay. All right, so good evening, everyone, and I am glad to see you all are here. Hopefully you can see the slides. Jared, did they pull up?
Let me pull the screen back up to check. Hold on a second. I see it. I do see the screen if everybody else sees it.
Okay, so my name is Kelly Cooper. I am going to tell you guys a little bit about me here in just a minute, but I am very excited to talk to you about one of my favorite things, which is volunteering and giving back. I have always said since I started in HIM that I want to grow up a little bit more and be like Jerry. And I think I've done pretty well with that over the last couple of years. And basically what that means is,
busy as I do.
Indeed so. It means being busy, giving back, and volunteering. So I volunteer a lot, and it started when I was in school. I graduated from Santa Fe College's Health Information Program and their Health Informatics Certificate Program back in 2015. But before I did that, I was a member of the Santa Fe Health Information Student Association as the senator, which I decided meant I was not busy enough with working full-time and volunteering and being in school full-time. I also became the Senate secretary or the legislative secretary for the student government. It proved to be a very interesting year and definitely gave me a lot of stuff to grow on. After that, I followed that up by becoming the advocacy committee chair fairly early on in 2015 after I graduated. So I graduated in May, and I want to say I accepted the role with the regional association sometime around June or July. I also became an active member of several committees at the state level in 2016. I believe in 2016 to 2017, I was on a total of 5 committees, and slowly tapered that down to taking a leadership role in what used to be called the legislative committee, but is now a merger of the advocacy and legislative into one committee called advocacy and public policy. And that is where I stay the busiest, at least right now, as we're gearing up for our state Hill Day in Tallahassee on April 2nd. I am a state mentor. I do have a mentee. This is actually my second year as a mentor, but last year my student was unfortunately unable to stay in her program and could not meet the commitments of being a mentee. This year I'm working with a very nice young lady from the Central region, and I'm actually hoping to have her come do an internship at 3 of the skilled nursing facilities that I oversee the HIM departments in. And I am also very excited that this year I am a member of the National Advocacy and Public Policy Committee through AHIMA, and that has already proven to be pretty exciting, and we've only been doing it for about 2 months. So as you can see, there's definitely a lot of places to volunteer, and it starts when you're in school and it goes all the way up. And of course, there's other volunteer efforts and availability outside the HIM profession that will also help you grow in the HIM profession. So the first thing you're probably wondering is, why should I volunteer? And the main reasons to volunteer are going to come from inside yourself. So what is it that you feel passionate about? Where do you want to find a voice or give a voice that you could be that voice? And for me, I volunteer, and I think everyone should volunteer to help grow our profession. The more energy you give back to the profession, the more energy it has to give to you and continue to further your career goals. I also see it as a way to give others a hand up that you wish you had gotten. And one of the things that I've been very big on right now is that there's a lot of resources available to you when you're a student, and there's a lot of resources available to you when you're a little bit further on in your career and you're ready to get those additional credentials and those additional letters. But there's not quite as much clearly available when you are in year 1 to 5 of being a professional. And so I give back to give others the hand up that I didn't feel like I had available to me. And I think that's a great reason for anybody else to volunteer as well. Maybe there's an area in your life not related to HIM that you wish somebody had given you a little bit of help with, and that could be a good place to volunteer and help grow your skills in that area. But the other thing that networking in HIM does for you is it helps you gain experience and offers you educational opportunities that maybe you don't have access to. So for example, maybe you work in a retail store right now and healthcare is just something that kind of fell in your lap because that tends to be how HIM happens to us. and you want to move into that field, but you don't feel like you have experience that allows you to make that move. Volunteering gives you that leg up because you're going to be around other professionals, you're going to make connections, and you're going to be able to find different ways to learn different pieces that are going to help you grow your resume, help you grow yourself, and make you a more valuable candidate to a healthcare enterprise. Networking is a big buzzword in all professions right now, but that's because it's very, very crucial. And what volunteering can do more than anything else is give you a network. I have 2 HIMs that I have been able to hire as directors in their facilities because I met them at a professional organization level. Whether it was they were a regional president and I met them in my state role, or if it was someone I just met along the line at different conventions or meetings, it helps you grow that network so that maybe when you need a job, you have someone you can reach out to. As Jerry said, this volunteering also can help you find mentors, champions, and build that support network. So for me, a lot of the people that I met by being active in the student association and having attended many of the meetings that we did for our local HIM professionals, I was able to reach out to people at the local hospital when I was having trouble getting a job. And they went as far as reviewing my resume for me, doing mock interviews with me, and giving me feedback and tips to help me finally land the job that I got. And again, it's a great way to find new pathways for your own career. When you're in school and you're studying HIM, you learn so much, but you barely scratch the surface of where HIM actually is out in the field. And so when you start to do these volunteer positions and meet these other people who are doing these other HIM kind of off the rails, you might say, kind of jobs, that's how you get your mind open and you get an idea of where you want to make your home in the career of HIM. So who can volunteer? Basically, anybody. You can be a student, you can be a new graduate, you can be a professional, you can be a retiree. You could be an HIM professional who's been in HIM for a long time and doesn't even have any credentials. Credentials are not required to be involved in the HIM profession. A lot of the HIMs that I have learned from have no letters behind their name, but they have been in medical records for 20 plus years. And that experience is worth more than some educations can be. So don't think you have to have letters after your name in order to volunteer or present or share your knowledge. And again, allied professionals. I don't know if many of you saw, but the agenda for the Florida Health Information Convention is actually posted, and there's actually an acupuncturist giving a speech for us this year to talk about one of the many different types of pain relief that you can get and how acupuncture can help with that. So you don't have to be an HIM to volunteer in HIM, and you don't have to only volunteer in HIM if you are an HIM. The other big question that people ask is how much time do I have to commit? And this can be variable, but what varies is really based on what your role is. So for example, in the student association, most of the normal members in a student association only give about an hour to 2 hours a month. And that's maybe your monthly meeting, or maybe it's a monthly meeting and you do a bake sale to raise some funds. If you're going to be on the board, you're going to spend a little bit more time doing the tasks that are required of you in that elected position. And so you could get up to 5 hours a week, or if you're like me and you do multiple positions, 10 hours a week that you're giving back to your school association. For a regional association, again, it's going to vary. If you're an elected officer on the board, you're going to have more of a time commitment, especially as events come up. And it can wax and wane. So there could be months where you don't do a whole lot, and then there could be months where it's like you have a second job. But as a general member or a general member of just a committee or a council at a regional level, you're not looking at too much of a commitment over the course of a month. And this is the same for the state associations. If you are a committee member, most of the time your committee engagement is going to be just a few hours a month. If you're in advocacy, then there's a good portion of the year where it's very limited. We have meetings, we kind of talk about stuff, but the really big push starts at the end of the year, around October, as the new legislature is decided, elections are decided, people are moving and shaking, and then the new legislative sessions begin. And so right now the commitment's a little bit higher, but it's going to taper off once we get done with our Hill Day on the 2nd of April. And then again, at the national level, it really depends on what you do. For the Advocacy and Public Policy Council right now, my commitment is, I would say, probably 2 hours a week at most, and that's just because I'm checking the engaged communities, looking for people asking questions, looking to see what other states are doing for their state Hill Days or for other things that are happening for them, and so that adds up to a little more time. The other thing I want to say here while we're talking about time is that agreeing to join a committee, agreeing to take on a position, it's not set in stone. So dream big. If you think you want to be a committee chair and you think you've got the skills for it, all you have to do is ask your regional association or the state association leadership if they'll give you a chance for it. And they might say, okay, well, they'll have you do it, but you're going to be a co-chair, and I'm going to have you and this more seasoned person do it together. Or maybe you join a committee and you think you're going to have the freedom to really give that time, and then you find out that you have other commitments you have to see to, and you have to step off the committee, or you have to give limited, in this month I can really help you a lot, but next month I can't help you at all. That's okay. The biggest thing is to communicate that to your leadership, and any time that you can donate is giving back and is growing yourself and growing the profession. So where can you start? As I said, you can start in the Student Association. This was a really, really great leg up for me, and I actually was offered the chance to apply for jobs based on the relationships I made with local professionals by being involved in my student association. The regional associations are really great. They are a great way to meet the people who live around and near you, who work around and near you. And if you are, settled in and you're going to stay in that region, it's a great way to start meeting people that are going to help you find a job. It's also a really great way to kind of test out the waters, to decide if you want to volunteer. The region is a really great way to get started because it's smaller. It's not the 4,000 plus members of the state association. It's usually a smaller amount of people who you are going to see more frequently and be able to have a little bit more of a familiar bond with. The state association has many volunteer positions, whether it's just a committee member or maybe you just decide you want to volunteer at convention. That is a great thing to do, and there's always signups for that. The National Association also has committees. You can also just go on Engage and provide your knowledge by answering questions on the Engage communities through your AHIMA membership. Again, there's other volunteer opportunities both with relations to HIM and outside. So the American Association for Professional Coders, AAPC, has positions. HIMSS has positions. You might volunteer for the Humane Society or for any other volunteer opportunity that calls to you, the American Heart Association, Alzheimer's. There's a lot there, and a lot of it can tie back into your profession just by the nature of what your profession is.
Kelly, I'm kind of interrupt you there because I think that that's a really valid point. I mean, we not just as the associations and HIM associations, but when you get in with your employers and whatnot, they're involved in these, benefits and whatnot. I know right now, we've got a colorectal campaign going on at U.S. Health Shams. Last month I was promoting American Heart Association and Red Day. But it's not just things like that. When you get into the workplace, you also have committees, forms committees. I know I got surprised out of the blue and got an email and an invite to participate on a committee about some of our fundraising that was going on. It was different. These things are here, and so volunteering happens in the workforce as well. And sometimes you can actually step up, and sometimes it's actually you kind of get drafted. So you want to get used to this. You want to get used to the idea of giving back, because a lot of times that is the same mentality that your employers are going to carry, whether it's the Heart for Dimes, American Heart Association, American Cancer Society. They're working with some kind of a charity. They have some kind of committees, and they're looking to see who's involved. So it's a great way to segue.
It is. And again, the last point on this slide, simply by asking, that's a really great one too. If you know there's something that you want to do, you might just say, hey, I know you're an HIM and I know that you work in a small physician's office. Do you need somebody who might be willing to come in on the weekend and file some documents for you? Or, can I come shadow you for a day? Or even just any little thing that you think of, can I help serve the refreshments at our next regional meeting? You can find opportunities that will get you out there. And so many people forget this, but when you volunteer, that can go on your resume, and it should go on your resume, because it helps to show that you are a well-rounded person who's committed to giving back to not only their profession, but to their communities and to where they live. So I just wanted to give you guys a couple of examples of what volunteering can look like. And so this is a picture from late 2014 when we were out getting ready for some big Twitter rallies to help push for the ICD-10 CM to go live in 2015. So it had been scheduled to go in 2014, and then it got delayed. And so we were really pushing to get this knowledge out. And so on campus for Health Information Professionals Week, and to help get out the knowledge about ICD-10, we set up this table. And what we did is we just took shifts. So for a couple of hours I was there, for a couple of hours another member of the Student Association was there. We just kind of rotated out, and it got us visible to the whole school. I followed that up by going to AHIMA Hill Day. Now, originally, AHIMA Hill Day was an event just like any other, and it was open to anybody who wanted to attend. However, due to the critical nature of building those relationships and just the overwhelming amount of turnout that was happening, they've now made it an invite-only event to help make sure that the smaller states aren't getting overwhelmed by the bigger states that maybe have 10 or 12 people that want to go. But I showed up, and I went to these meetings with these legislators, and it was amazing. I met so many people from all over the country who were in HIM, and as a new professional, it was so great to meet these people and get so inspired to continue volunteering. So what happens both at National and State Hill Day is that there are topics that we're advocating for or against. In this case, we were advocating for changing some language that would allow the federal government to allow the Department of Health to start helping fund and look at research for a national patient identifier that's not the Social Security number of the patient. And so we went and we met with our representatives and our senators who are from our states. So I went and met with the legislative assistant for Ted Yoho, who is from the Gainesville region. And I actually sat in Ted Yoho's office. It was pretty neat. As someone who, I've heard of this person, and sometimes you might think that government's a little bit almost like a TV show, so it was really neat to be there in person. But I also got to meet all these people from all over the country that were educators, that were hospital HIMs, that were working in physicians' offices, and start to build my network. I brought that back and got involved in advocacy more in the state level. And this is from our State Hill Day in 2017. We were meeting with our legislators because there was a bill about how much we could charge attorneys for copying records. And there were a lot of problems with the bills because they were written by people who didn't really understand the HIPAA language. And we were able to go and meet with all of our senators and legislators and inform them of how this language wasn't really the best fit for what they were trying to achieve. And so we had students there from Santa Fe College and from Florida and FAMU, Florida AMU in Tallahassee. And those students got to network with the professionals and go around and meet their state legislators. And it was a really great and exciting thing for all of us to do. This is last year. I volunteered and helped coordinate our volunteers for the AHIMA convention in Miami. And this was a very, very exciting event, and I was really glad that I signed up for it. Obviously, the convention can be really overwhelming. It's open to everybody who's in HIM, not just in the United States, but throughout the world. And throughout my volunteering that I did for the convention this year, I met people from all over the country. I met people in my little corner of the HIM field in skilled nursing and long-term care. And I also met a lovely set of people who were from Saudi Arabia, who were cancer registrars in Saudi Arabia and worked for the AHIMA World Congress, which I found really, really exciting. And all of these people, I've networked with them, I've followed up with them on LinkedIn, and they're now contacts that I have that I can reach out to and talk to about global issues, about American issues, about skilled nursing issues, about HIM in general. So, as always, what can volunteering do for you? It can help you build your confidence. It can help you see that some of your skills that you already have apply to HIM. And that can be so critical when you're a student who's looking for a job or getting ready to graduate and not sure what's going to be the next step. It helps you think outside the box about what you've already done. So maybe you work in sales and you do analytics for your sales. Well, that can apply to HIM because you've done data analytics and maybe you've done quality to see what are the trends. How is this salesperson doing better than that salesperson? And getting out there and volunteering can help you see what other professionals are doing. Like I said, it can net you connections throughout the entire world. And these connections will definitely show up for you at times you don't expect it. It helps you leverage relationships to further your career. So I needed someone for a position that I had open, and I was able to reach out to a connection of mine who then reached out to her connections and was able to find someone who needed a change in position and was able to get them a job with me. This one is critical to show you how other pathways you can follow in your career. So again, HIM is all over the place. I've met people that do HIM in corrections, people that do HIM overseas and work in the international community, people who have HIM credentials and never thought that the field that they were working in would even be related to HIM, yet here they are. And it opens up the pathway for you to design your career in HIM. It'll help give you a sense of accomplishment and satisfaction. And again, it helps us build a stronger profession. So I'm going to stop here. Are there any questions, any comments, anything I can answer for you guys? I'm going to try to check the chat here if my computer wants to cooperate.
I'm not seeing anything in chat, but oh, there we go. Lori is saying it's best.
It's actually really depends on the opportunity. So if it's something more local, then it might be better to ask in person. If it's for an upcoming meeting or something specific, then you can do it in email or by telephone. What I have found with most of the association-related volunteerisms is sending the first email, even to just the general info@fahima.org email and saying, I'm interested in volunteering, here's the 3 things I like, has led to me being connected to the committees that both best fit that and being able to match my time and my knowledge to that committee. I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed this. I am always, always, always happy to talk about volunteering. Jerry will tell you, I'll talk to you till you're blue in the face. So please make sure you get my email off the slide here, and feel free to send me an email. Find me on LinkedIn, Facebook, Twitter, wherever. I'm happy to talk about volunteering.
And you guys want to make sure you don't catch me and her together, because we'll tag team you.
You might get signed up for things if you catch us both at the same time.
We're both, I mean, we're both Santa Fe graduates, but we both have been very involved in the organization, in trying to get out there and find our way and find our places. And I believe that, some of our others that we follow behind, our president-elect, or excuse me, our president-elect Julia, I know she got involved that way. Our past president, who's Lee Starling, who's president-elect for Florida, coming up. I mean, she's been president of the regional so many times over. She's done committees. She's actually the one who brought me into my first committee on the state level. She said, and that was when Bridging the Gap, she says, you liked having a mentor? I said, yeah, I really did. She says, great, let's help other people find it. And that's how I've always taken it. And it's just kind of that giving back. And the more you give back, the more you want to give back. At least that's how I feel about it. So we definitely encourage that.
She's definitely part of how I got on 5 committees my first year.
Hey, Kelly, I need you to take over advocacy.
Robin, that's a really good question. And a lot of that is, it's really about finding the position that you feel you have the best skills for and leveraging what you already know. And that's why it's really great to get a mentor, because if you have a mentor, they can help you kind of think outside the box about that. And not just any mentor. It's really great to sign up for the mentor program that we have both at FAHIMA and at the national level. But even just reaching out. So even if you just saw my email and you said, hey, would you take a look at my resume and maybe have a conversation with me? I'm the type of person that's going to say yes. And again, like I said, if you work in sales, you have skills that you don't even think might apply to HIM, and it's all about leveraging that. And Dora, I do think most of the colleges have an opportunity for volunteerism. But my biggest thing would be find out if you have a student association. And if you don't, contact Jerry and I so we can get you one and you can help start that up for your college.
Yeah, not all of the colleges have an actual student association for health information, but they have other things that you can get involved with in the school. So even if that's not there, find something else that's health related to get involved in. Find a Relay for Life or an Alzheimer's association or something that you're interested in to get involved and support it, and find other groups that will do it. There's definitely different ways that could help get you in the doors there.
Hey, Sandra, I see your question there, and I want to tell you one of my classmates was in her 60s when we graduated, and she has a great job working with SIOCs. If you want to email me, I will connect you with her so you can talk to her. She was also our president for our student association while we were in school together.
I'm also myself, Sandra, Jerry. I'm actually 49 years old. I literally did a change to HIM as kind of a midlife crisis type thing. I've got a grandchild at home, so it was kind of a unique position. So there's some. I'm happy to talk to you at any point in time too.
Yeah, HIM is one of the best fields because it's for anybody of any age and at any point in your career. This is actually my second career. I was a licensed massage therapist, and I was starting to get burned out, and I still wanted to be in healthcare, and I just ended up in HIM. And I was in school with people that's one of the things I love about community college is you have students that are 13 who were homeschooled and are smarter than you'll ever be, and you have people all the way up to their mid-90s who are taking classes just because they want to learn. Yeah, just reach out to us and we'll help you get some connections. And as I said, you guys are always welcome to email me questions. Definitely sign up for a mentor if you're in a program and you're getting into that last year range, or if you just graduated. It's a great, great way to get someone to help you think outside the box.
Okay, well, excellent. Well, thank you, Kelly, for talking to us about volunteering. And the last question out here on Dora, do I need to have a mentor for volunteering? No, you do not. They are two separate entities. A lot of times one can lead to the other. A mentor can help you find better volunteer opportunities, but a volunteer, taking any kind of a volunteer opportunity can help you find somebody who can help mentor you into the field. Just if you're interested in either, just ask, and somebody will find a way to find something for you, I'm sure.
Alrighty. So is Julia going to be the presenter or Mesha?
Yes, Julia's going to be.
Yeah, we're going to co-present, but Mesha is also here to speak. So first of all, I want to thank Jerry and Kelly. As you can see, they're both powerhouses, and I don't want our current students to be intimidated like, whoa, I could never do that, because I can remember at one time, of course, being a student and seeing the leaders up there that were just go-getters and they were passionate about what they did, and I thought I could never be up there doing that. But as they mentioned, I want to really build on the foundation that they have already set for Mesha and I, and that is by just getting involved either through volunteer or just attending association meetings. That's how you build the confidence, you get that networking in with the association. I know at one point I was actually laid off from my job. I came to the next regional meeting and I had people from Baptist and St. Vincent's and all of these other places saying, what, are you kidding? Well, let me see what opportunities I have. I know you, I know your work. We need to get you over and let me see what positions we have open. So before I even started looking for a job, people were looking for me. So that was great networking, but also bouncing ideas off of each other when you're in a job, whether it's entry level or not. We still use each other for resources. And that's something that, we have never, we never stop learning, really, no matter how old we get. So I'm a little older than the rest, but that's okay. I almost didn't put dates in my own presentation. But Mesha and I want to show some different pathways, because we frequently get questions, as we did tonight, about how to get into the profession and how to get either entry level or how to build our skills, how to advance within HIM. So Mesha is with me. She is actually a graduate of the Florida State College program. So I think we have some of the schools represented here, with Jerry and Kelly starting off, both graduates from Santa Fe College and Julie Shea's program. And we have Mesha, and we also have another person that helped us with part of the presentation, but is not here tonight, Charles Jones. They are both graduates of Florida State College Jacksonville and that HIM program. And then myself, I am a graduate of St. John's River State College and their HIM program. So definitely we all came up as students and got into the profession, and we definitely want to help the others that are students that are our next generation that are coming in to join us. So without further ado, I'll introduce Mesha. She is currently a HIM senior specialist here at Mayo Clinic in the Record Content Management, or RCM section. So Mesha is going to share her pathway and some tips for everyone, and then we'll share some others as well. So Mesha, are you ready?
Yep. Thank you, Julia. Good
welcome.
evening, everybody. Again, this is Mesha Ward, and I currently work at Mayo Clinic. I'm a senior specialist, and like Julia said, the record content management. I graduated from Florida State College of Jacksonville in 2015, and basically my main tip for your pathway is to just kind of get your foot in the door any way you can. So I started my journey to HIM because my employer of about 15 years at the time informed all of us that we were going to be laid off and that our jobs were going to be outsourced overseas. I then decided to switch career paths completely because I was actually in the airline industry, and I looked for something in healthcare. I wanted healthcare because I wanted something to be like a secure industry. I didn't want to have that fear of losing my job again to something being sent overseas. I wanted to find something that had potential for growth, and it was diverse enough to offer many different opportunities. That's when I found health information management. Now, initially, when I was looking at it, I completely intended to get my degree and do medical billing and coding. Once I started, though, in the program, I learned there were so many different opportunities, so I knew that was going to kind of change my mind. I also had a change of heart because while I was in class, my program ran during that time of that ICD-9 to ICD-10 switchover. My professor, very wisely, decided to teach us both of the classification systems. So not only was I learning something completely new, I had to learn the old and possibly the new classification system coming out. She did that just in case the switchover was delayed and, you know, we had to go back to the old classification system for our certification exam. All of that was a huge challenge for me. I mean, everyone in the class was a huge challenge for them as well. Learning both of those systems, and I think health law was pretty much the hardest part for me in the program. With a lot of study sessions and a few mini little breakdowns, I thankfully passed the program. Now, once I passed, I waited about 6 months before I sat for my RHIT exam. I do not recommend doing that. When I graduated from the class, my brain did a complete data dump, and I was like, I don't have to think about that right now because I had to find a job, and I shouldn't have done that. So once I did start planning to sit for my exam, I had to dedicate pretty much all of my free time to studying. I think I dedicated about 3 months of just nonstop studying so I can get all that information back into my head. Thankfully, that paid off, and I was able to pass the exam on my first attempt, thank goodness. In the midst of all my studying, I also had to find a job. So I literally applied for any and all jobs that I could possibly qualify for at any and all hospitals within Jacksonville, some of the smaller practices too in Jacksonville. After about 6 weeks of applying for different jobs, Mayo Clinic finally did give me a call for an interview. However, it was for a scheduling job. So not exactly what I was looking for, but ultimately I knew I wanted to work for Mayo Clinic.
No, I mean, this is almost over.
My thought was just to get my foot in the door. I started with Mayo working as a scheduler in hematology oncology department. So after I worked there for a few months, I reached out to the supervisor of health information management, and I asked her, would it be okay for me to shadow someone in her department on my own time, of course, not on the clock. She responded that she had to speak with her manager first because no one had ever asked her to do that. So I was like, okay, that's fine. And she eventually did get the approval for me to shadow because since I was a current employee, there wasn't any HIPAA violations or privacy concerns. She set up 2 different opportunities for me to ask questions and sit with one of her employees. When I was doing my shadowing, that helped me get on the supervisor's radar. So when an open position became available, it also let me see what the environment was in the health information management department to see if it was a good fit for me. I mean, we spend about 40 to 50 hours at work. You want to make sure it's a comfortable environment for you. So fast forward 7 months after that, I did see a job posting in HIM, and I reached out to that supervisor again, and I asked her if she could give me any information about that posting, any tips that she could give me, and also to let her know that I was interested in applying for it. I did apply for the job, and I got the job as a HIM specialist at the time. So when I started as a HIM specialist, I wanted to learn as much as I possibly could. Any special project we had going on, I asked if I could be a part of it. I volunteered to be on our emergency preparedness team that would stay and get locked into the hospital in case of a hurricane came, so you could continue updating the medical records. I was selected to be a wellness champion for the department, and the purpose of that job is to help promote lifestyle choices that support good health and improve quality of life at work. Mayo Clinic recently switched over to a new EHR, and I asked if I could be one of the super users during that transition. The super user role at that time was responsible for training everyone and became the go-to person for questions about our new system. During my training as a super user, Mayo Clinic sent me to our main campus in Rochester, Minnesota for training for a week. This was a great opportunity to meet and network with other colleagues. Because of our new shared service model with the new EHR, now Mayo Clinic medical records are accessible enterprise-wide. So that means anyone working in our Rochester campus can work on records for Florida and vice versa. This created an opportunity for advancement, and our department created a new position called a senior specialist. The position was created about 8 months ago, and the purpose of this role is to help train others and be a subject matter expert with the new EHR. I applied and was beyond happy that I got that position. I mean, I enjoy helping people. I enjoy researching issues and finding solutions and things like that. So this fits exactly up my alley. So my current supervisor is located in Wisconsin, actually. So we are constantly utilizing Skype and WebEx to have meetings and to communicate. I'm consistently looking for knowledge about HIMSS, and I know that that drive to find out new information helped me secure this position. So I know the industry is constantly changing, which is great. And I know we can all be rest assured that the opportunities in this field over the years is just going to keep growing because technologies are ever changing and healthcare is always changing.
Thank you, Mesha. As you can see, Mesha has definitely made her presence known, even when she was in another department, just reaching out to our department saying, hey, is it okay if I shadow over there and find out more about opportunities? I'm in an HIM program. And as you can see, ever since then, she's just been getting involved and, like she said, getting her hands wherever she can, and really has stood out, and I'm sure she will continue to grow and move up. She might be my boss one day, who knows? So thank you for presenting those outside the box ideas. Our next employee who also shared his journey, he's also a graduate of Florida State College, Jacksonville, and Professor Thomas and Professor Brown's program. He's currently employed here at Mayo Clinic as an associate analyst in practice operations in HIMSS projects and system support. So for those of you who know him, Charles Jones, he's always at our annual spring seminar. If you haven't met him yet, please come to this year's spring seminar. I'm sure he'll be there as well, and he'll tell you all about all of his changes. I believe he went through the program in 2010. His pathway tip, he said the RHIT program is no joke. So he also waited 6 months after, but he said take it soon after graduation while everything is fresh in your mind. So Charles stated that in late 2000, he was working at a scanner at another company outside of healthcare. He decided instead of a job, he wanted a career. So he heard about a document imaging position at St. Luke's Hospital, which was part of Mayo Clinic at the time. He applied and was hired. By 2001, he transitioned into a medical records coordinator position in document imaging. In 2008, he was promoted to a QA specialist. And the reason why Charles got this specific job is he had a lot of advanced Excel skills. He knew how to take these long reports that were just thousands of line items long and do specialty sorts and filters and apply formulas if he needed to. He could take complicated, I believe the Thursday report that he was doing at the time was 400 and something steps to do because he had to combine 5 separate reports into one big super report. And then he had to take that one report and divide it out by role and by aging. So his advanced Excel skills that he was using just to do basic things in RCM kind of stood out as he's the perfect person that could handle these weekly deficiency reports. So he worked in that for 7 years. And then he was promoted to a systems analyst. So his Excel and his Cerner knowledge of deficiency reports led to opportunities for the more advanced report tasks in our Florida, going from Cerner to Epic. In 2018, as Mesha mentioned, we went to the enterprise share service model across all sites. It was a phased project, so our northern sites went first. Florida and Arizona were the last ones. But now it is the same medical record at any Mayo Clinic site. So someone that goes to a Mayo Clinic in Wisconsin and vacations during the summer in Arizona or Florida, they walk into the facility and their medical record is there. It's the same record as they have in the north. So again, Charles was promoted to projects and system support analyst, and his current supervisor is based in Rochester, Minnesota. So Charles's comments that his career, quote, found me when he was expanding his skills and knowledge along the way, but he credits Professor Thomas giving a seminar that made him decide that this was a good fit for him. He applied to her program after that seminar and achieved his AS degree and RHIT certification. He says now that he's been in HIMSS for 18 years, he is still learning every day. And again, he recommends not waiting 6 months, but take the exam as soon as you can. So again, you know, Charles got his foot in the door, got into scanning, stood out, kept expanding his knowledge, kept expanding his skills, and just inputting himself wherever he could, like, hey, if you need help with a spreadsheet, I've got a great knowledge of spreadsheets, I can help with that. That makes you stand out within the department, and whenever there's a position that requires those more advanced skills, it's like, hey, Charles is the perfect person because, you know, he manipulates these spreadsheets like no one else can. Next, my own journey. Currently, I am a program director for the Mayo Clinic School of Health Sciences. So that means I am in charge of the HIMSS internship here at Mayo Clinic. I'm also the HIMSS supervisor in completion, compliance, and escalation section. I'm responsible for the daily operations of the record review team specifically and have 16 staff across all states. I am a graduate of St. John's River State College. I actually got a business degree first because we didn't have HIM degrees in the area at the time. I did go back and get an HIM degree from St. John's River State College with my RHIT, and then later I also went back to the University of Cincinnati to transition to the bachelor's degree and the RHIA. So my pathway tips, number one, volunteering equals networking. As we pointed out, the more that you volunteer for things either within your facility, within your local region, you stand out, you get your face out there, you get your name out there, and when you lean on other people for job opportunities, they remember you and they remember you're a go-getter and you're out there helping and you're out there and being involved, and that's the kind of person that they might want in their group. Also, temporary positions can lead to permanent ones. I know here we have had many, at least a half a dozen that are still here, and I think many more in the past that started out as a temp. We had a temporary position that was available for up to 12 months. And during that time, as a full position opened up, they applied for the full position and were hired as a permanent employee. Even as far as last year when we went from Cerner to Epic, we had temporary staff that was hired just during Cerner, and their job was supposed to, quote, go away with Epic. Every single one of those temps was hired when we went live on Epic because we had new positions within the Epic system that they qualified for. So again, if you can get a temporary role anywhere, even if it's a SIOX or a ROI vendor like that, you're in a department where you're seeing the HIM, hiring managers, supervisors, and the rest of the staff. Those are good job leads. They tell you, hey, there's a position open, I think you'd be great for it. And plus, if we already know you, we know your work ethic, we know you're here every day, and that gives you a good advantage to someone else that we just see a resume and we don't know them. So I started out in 1985. I was afraid to put that date, but that's the truth, with Health Occupation Students of America during my senior year. So as part of our school program, we were required to do volunteer hours, partly at a local nursing home and then part at a hospital. So in February of 1986, when I was still finishing up my volunteer hours, the hospital staff there told me of a job opening in the lab reception area. So I applied and was hired part-time, and I started working after school. In June '86, I transitioned to a full-time lab clerk, and I was charting all of those lab results up on the floor into the medical record. I also had typing skills because I had taken typing in high school, and so they started giving me all the policies and procedures to update because back then we unfortunately had those electric typewriters. And I started becoming helpful there. Anytime somebody needed a memo typed or a policy or whatever, they came to me. It's been a long journey, so I just tried to summarize over the years. Be flexible, because when one door opens, one door closes, another one opens if you have the right key. So I worked as a pathology transcriptionist because of my lab receptionist experience and then typing policies and procedures. They said, oh, well, if you have good typing skills and you know the medical terminology, we need a full-time transcriptionist. So I was able to transition to medical transcription, and I was also a pathologist assistant, which was very interesting because I got to assist at autopsies. Not the perfect fit for some people, but I thought it was rather interesting at the time. I didn't mind. I transitioned to a quality management and medical staff assistant, which at the time was a promotion for me. I got to attend all of the medical staff meetings. That means all the physician departments, like the Department of Family Practice, the Department of Internal Medicine, the Department of Surgery, and I got to prepare their agendas. I got to take all of the minutes for the meeting. I got to coordinate and develop all of their QA statistics that was going to be presented. Later, I transitioned to a medical transcriptionist in HIMSS, and the main reason I went back to transcription is my children were very small at the time and beginning elementary school, so that was a perfect fit for me, that I could get the kids to the bus stop in the morning and then I could work from home all day. And when they got off the bus, they just walked in and I was done for the day, and it was just perfect working from home during their elementary and junior high school years. Over the years, I transitioned up to the lead transcriptionist and the ancillary transcription coordinator. So for those other departments such as cardiology and radiology, I also made sure that we had enough transcriptionists. We coordinated the workload. I did training of new staff. My position, as I mentioned earlier, was suddenly eliminated in 2014 after 28 years at that facility. All of the transcription positions went away. They did actually hire me back part-time back in pathology again, because pathology said, hey, we've got an opening, but it's just part-time. And at that point I said, sure, I'll take anything. I'll sweep floors if you want me to, that's fine. So while I was working just part-time, I served on NEFHIMA committees. So I served on the scholarship committee, the technology committee, and then as webmaster and recording secretary. I was helping with our annual spring seminar. And networking through NEFHIMA volunteer actually led to a job lead at Mayo Clinic. Not only at the regional meeting, people were reaching out and saying, hey, there's a job opening at my facility. I heard you got laid off. Have you applied for this? But also, as a result of working at the spring seminar, Nita Thompson actually thanked me, saying, hey, Julia McCurry did this, this, and this to make all of this possible today. We want to thank her for her help. And the person who interviewed me at Mayo Clinic actually remembered Nita Thompson, her kind words that she had spoken at NEFHIMA. So again, that helped me stand out, because she could see that this was somebody who was involved and who was going out there and doing what I could. So that is partly responsible for getting me the job at Mayo Clinic. They had also sent the job lead to our president at the time to put on the website under our job postings. And so since I was the webmaster, I got, hey, here's a job opening at Mayo Clinic. Can you post it to our website? So I posted it immediately, and then as soon as it was live on the system, I went ahead and I applied for it. So 2 ways that NEFHIMA helped me to get the job that I currently have. And as I said, now I'm supervising 16 staff across 6 states. I have committee appointments like our medical record review subgroup, who's chaired by Dr. Reed in Wisconsin. We also have physicians on that committee from Arizona, Florida, and Rochester. And also being the program director for Mayo Clinic. All right, so the summary of some of the pathways that we've talked about tonight. Keep learning and expanding your skills wherever possible. I know, for instance, St. Scholastica has some online classes that sometimes are free. They, I think once a year, offer a free advanced Excel class. So anytime you get a chance to take just one class to add to your knowledge, whether it's free or not, those skills are going to help you. They can go on your resume as a skill, plus the more you use it, the more valuable you'll be at your current position. As we mentioned, get your foot in the door any way you can, as a temp, as a volunteer, as an intern, or take an entry-level role, even if it's not the one you want. It is a way to get started. Sometimes internal transfers are easier than getting hired as an external employee. Continue your education, your degrees and certifications. Some places like Mayo Clinic now requires a 2-year degree just to take an entry-level position. And then if you want to move up, you're going to need a certification to move up. Volunteer for projects at work. Be the go-to person like Mesha was when she was our super user. Be persistent and flexible. You can't give up, and you never know what opportunities will be available in the future. You might think, this is my career path, I'm going that way, but then an opportunity opens somewhere else. So keep an open mind. That other opportunity might actually end up being better for you in the long run. And get involved in your association. It looks great on your resume. You network with hiring managers and other colleagues, and it helps you stand out. So there is my contact information, my email, and my work phone. I'm always here to answer questions as well. So I'll look and see if we have any questions so far in the chat.
Yes, there is a Central Florida HEMA, Lori. In response to that, there are 8 regions around the state. Central is one of those. If you go out to the HEMA site and go to regions, you can click on Central and get information for the website. You can also participate in any region's events, and that's where we offer events like this. In fact, I did want to let everybody know that Northeast has a spring seminar coming up on April 12th. Students are welcome. It is a $25 charge, but it's an all-day event with breakfast and lunch. So these are the types of events, you know, especially in person. If you're anywhere near it, or you're going to be visiting, or you're just interested, absolutely take advantage of those. So, Lori, if you do need help with that, I'm happy to help. This is Jerry. I'm happy to help you kind of navigate the CAHIIMA website. I did want to kind of preface too, Julia, you mentioned about College of St. Scholastica items, and they're actually, if you go out and take a look, now I haven't gotten it posted to the website, but there are 2 courses. They're called Massive Open Online Courses. One is on leading effective project teams, and the other is on rural healthcare staffing stability, effective tools and maintenance. These are generally like, you know, 8 to 12-week classes. They do offer CEU units, but they're good information. Sometimes you can get certificates, and sometimes you can get actual credit towards taking these programs in those. But they're great. Like you said, they do have an Excel one. They have stuff on SNOMED, CT, and they rotate those around. So those 2 are coming up. So absolutely take advantage of those. Do you have to be a member to have a mentor? No and yes. As far as signing up with CAHIIMA goes, we do ask if you are a member, we ask for your membership ID number so that we can try it. And the general guideline has been is that they are trying to restrict that to members, but I'm not going to lie, I don't 100% enforce that. If you sign up and you want a mentor and you're going to a CAHIIM accredited school, whether you've become a member of AHIMA and CAHIIMA or a member of one of your regionals, I am still going to attempt to find you somebody, because while you may not be a member now, that little bit of extra and getting through your credentialing and getting that, you might become a member in the future. So I say yes and no. We do say on there that we would prefer you to be an AHIMA member with Florida designated as your state. We do not require you to be a regional member, but we will attempt to match you to your region based on the city that you live in. So if you live in Orlando, I'm going to try and match you to Central. If you live in Tampa, I'm going to try and match you to Southwest. So, so those are good pieces to know. And Lori, let's see, was it Lori or, yeah, Lori, you wanted my contact information. I am more than happy to bring it back up. Give me just a second. Too many things up on my screen. It takes just a little bit of time. There we go. Last page. And let me share this with you. Share my screen. There we go. You guys should be able to see that now. Yep, that's my contact information. That's my work email address. You're welcome to reach me on that email address at any point in time. And is becoming a member of CAHIIM different from AHIMA? Yes, it is, and again, there's a no, because when you become a member of AHIMA, when you pay your membership fee, which I believe right now as a student member is like $45 with AHIMA, but don't quote me on that, you designate a state. So your AHIMA membership gives you a state membership. What it does not give you is a regional membership. And most of those times, the regionals are less expensive. So like Northeast has a $15 membership fee for students for a year, $30 for members. Now that's if you're also an AHIMA member, that's on top of it, but you get a ton generally in that area for your regions. You get a ton of free items, newsletters. We do all of our CEUs except for the one event, which is the spring seminar, is free to our membership. So it's a bonus there. Anybody else have any questions, comments? Did you guys like this tonight? Was this helpful? Great feedback. Lola, Lori, Erilith, thank you so much. And do we have any further questions?
I'd just like to add, we'd like to see all the students come to the spring seminar this year. It is a little bit less expensive for students. The registration fee does include the breakfast and lunch as well. So you can come out for the day. We have 7 speakers lined up, so there's going to be a lot of information, but also the networking that happens at those face-to-face meetings is very valuable as well.
The networking is definitely a huge key, and I think I think that there's one message that you can take away from this is get involved. Find somebody that you can be involved with and learn how to be able to build a network that can be there to support you, whether it's as a mentor or whether it's just as somebody that you know. The more people that you have in your corner, the easier it becomes to sell yourself. All right. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us tonight for our annual student forum. I really appreciate the spread of this. We will be doing this again next year, so absolutely tell your friends about it, tell your students about it, tell your classmates what they missed, and let them know that we'll keep doing this out here for you guys, and we thank you for being part of it tonight. And Julia, thank you for organizing this. Mesha for being a part of it. Kelly for your presentation. I really appreciate everybody, and we're a really strong group, and we're here to support everybody that was online tonight. So please don't hesitate to contact us. And have a great evening, everybody. Thank you for joining.
Thank you, Jerry.
Thank you, everybody.